for me, reading kind of feels like a secret weapon, like something that, because I started off with a super intense language, super difficult language, I never really got into it. But now I'm kind of like, the gates are open. I'm like, wow, it's a whole world out here. I'm
Yeah.
curious, what benefits do you see reading having that other mediums just don't have?
You're not alone in experiencing this with reading as well. I mean, I think certain people are natural readers, other people are not. That's just the way things go, and a lot of it, I think, is down to school and how we're taught. So the thing about reading is there's a couple of things, right? The first thing is that reading is where people who write really take the time to craft beautiful sentences in the language. People who write, they have ideas, they formulate their ideas, they put them into written format, then they go back and they edit them. Writers take pride in crafting beautiful sentences, beautiful language in a way that you don't have when you're trying to like make a Netflix show, for example, where you're just trying to
Yeah.
communicate with the masses. Everything that's possible within the language. Beautiful language exists in books. Like that's just always the way it's been. There's a reason that. Well, I guess I was going to talk about Jane Austen and Shakespeare. I mean, they couldn't have done podcasts or Netflix even if they wanted to, right? But
Yeah.
the written format is there because we can take the time to craft beautiful stuff in the language. When we speak, we use something like 10% of our known vocabulary. And so
I
whenever
see.
you're watching or listening to people speaking, you're only getting a tiny fraction of everything that's available in that language.
Yeah.
So as soon as you start to read, you unlock like 90% of the language that's not used on a regular basis, which by itself should give people like real pause for
Yeah.
thought. But the main thing for me is actually as a medium for studying, reading is just far more effective
Mm.
than or far
That's
more.
that's it.
It's far more.
Dense, maybe.
I was going to say it's far more accessible than listening
Mm.
because people say, yeah, you can turn on subtitles on Netflix or on YouTube, and like, yeah, you can. But I don't know about you, but when I'm learning a language, I want to have a page in front of me that I can read through, that I can go back and forth, reread a sentence easily, like mark up, highlight words, make little notes in the margin. I want to be able to see stuff in front of me so I can go back and forward, up and down, and take my time.
Mm.
The trouble with listening or watching movies and stuff is that it's a very impractical format for studying. You've got to always be rewinding. You may or may not have the words on the screen, and if
Yep.
you see a sentence on the screen, you can't see what's coming up next unless you find.
Yeah.
Reading is just practical, and so for a combination of all these reasons, the fact that people have taken the time to craft beautiful language using a wide range of vocabulary, and you can study it, and you can find anything that you want in any topic in books.
True.
That's for me. That's where it's at.
There you go. Yeah, I think it depends on how dedicated you are. So for example, that kind of sitting in front of a book and there's a whole page, and you just said that you prefer to kind of have that kind of big page where you can kind of stop and start and go to search up words that you need to, and you can kind of go at your own rhythm, as opposed to Netflix where you have to kind of go, back and forward if you miss a word, whatnot. I think that the trade-off there is, I guess, fun, because a lot of people
Yeah.
would prefer just to learn less and have more fun, as opposed to learn more and have less fun. But I guess the caveat to that is finding material that is actually inherently interesting in the language that you're learning. Especially if you're reading a book and the plot is super interesting, then it doesn't force you, but it motivates you to kind of continue with it, because you want to see what's at the end of the kind of proverbial tunnel. It's intriguing, and it's one of those reasons that I've started recommending people to kind of really read manga as well. So manga, I've kind of never, I was really never a fan. I was like, no, I watch anime, I don't watch manga, or sorry, I don't read manga. But for language learning purposes, manga or comic books or webtoons, they are so just powerful, because oftentimes the stories are so intriguing. It's almost as good as watching a Netflix thing, but it's a lot more. You get a lot more comprehensible input out of it. So it's super interesting to hear your thoughts on it, considering you have a huge, massive series
Mhm.
on
Yeah.
reading and all that.